The following paid content is sponsored by the law firm of Jeff Anderson and Associates.
To the person that wakes up every day with the memory and the stain of being sexually abused, and who is still struggling with where does that fit into your file cabinet of life, I would say you're worth it. You're 100% worth sharing your story to get the help and guidance that you need.
Hi, I'm Joelle Castex. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse right here in California. I'm here today to talk about a landmark law in the state of California, AB 218, that allows survivors of childhood sexual abuse, no matter when the abuse occurred in California, to come forward safely and even anonymously within the civil justice system to expose the people who hurt them and expose the institutions that covered it up. I am so excited to be here today with attorney Jeff Anderson. Jeff is a pioneer in child protection, especially right here in California. He spent the last 4 decades ensuring that kids are safer, survivors are helped, and institutions that cover up sexual abuse are held accountable. Hi, Jeff, how are you?
Pretty well, thank you, Joelle.
So it's been almost 4 decades, a lot of that in California. What keeps you going and energized about helping survivors of sexual abuse?
To know that we can and have been given this chance in life and through law to give hope, to give power, to give help to those survivors that have been hurt, and at the same time to enter into this amazing journey with each of them, a partnership with each of them, to do something today, and in that journey to protect kids in the future.
You know, Jeff, there's a story that really hasn't been told, and that is your long, extensive history in California helping survivors of sexual abuse, starting with public policy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We started to bring cases against the perpetrators and those that protected them in the Catholic Diocese in California. We also hit the barrier of the statute of limitations, the time limit, and those cases started to get thrown out like they had elsewhere. And I realized, and we realized how wrong that was, and we continued that fight, trying to get the courts to see, no, you have to give survivors time. You have to give them time that the law doesn't, and we have to change that law. And that's what led me to realize public policy had to be changed. And so we wrote a law and lobbied that law with the help of some survivors that allows a 3-year window for any survivor to come forward who is a victim of any criminal sexual conduct or sexual assault and take legal action. Survivors now have the opportunity to share their secret, keep it private, but also identify the offender. My name is Jeff Anderson. I'm the founder of the law firm Jeff Anderson and Associates. For 35 years, we have been working with and for survivors of sexual abuse by authority figures. There is an opportunity for survivors of sexual abuse in California to take action, to expose the offender, and to also recover your power. Join the child protection movement. Make that call.
If you were sexually abused as a child in California, it's time to take your power back. Contact Jeff Anderson and Associates to learn more. Call confidentially 1-800-IT'S-TIME.
I felt so powerless all those years ago, but today I regained my power that Father Bismonte took from me.
You know, for years I suffered in silence. Honestly, it took a huge toll on me, but I think the bigger toll that it took on me was not saying anything. You know, just that moment of realization that someone is gonna help you, like someone that can actually make a difference that could change the rest of life, was a lot for me to take in. And then to be able to put myself out there, so that other people can hear it and, acknowledge, yeah, this happened to her. And yes, it just because it happened to her, it didn't destroy her. She's taking a stand. She's saying no more. This is not happening again.
More than 3 decades ago, Jeff Anderson brought one of the first lawsuits against the Catholic Church and its hierarchy for covering up child sexual abuse. Since then, Jeff Anderson and Associates has helped thousands of sexual abuse survivors reclaim their power and has secured hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements for survivors, one survivor at a time. Thanks in part to the efforts of Jeff Anderson and Associates, survivors in California can now come forward confidentially to file a lawsuit, no matter how long ago the abuse occurred. Visit AndersonAdvocates.com to learn more.
My life was pretty much taken away. My childhood, my well-being, my intimacy. And this is the perpetrator that's being protected for what he did to me, and we don't even know how many other young boys and girls. The people that need the most protection on this planet are children. They're innocent. That's why I'm here, because I'm one of many people who've had to hold these burdens our whole life.
I'm here now with Eric Zuniga. Eric is a tremendously brave survivor, and I met him earlier this year when we did a press conference in San Francisco. And it was an amazing day because it was the moment that Eric decided that he was going to stand up, he was going to talk about what happened to him and the profound effect that it's had on his life, and how that has been a great launching pad for his healing. So, Eric, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
What inspired you to say, Jeff, I have something I want to say? What was it?
I didn't know anybody there. All I knew is that I was going to do something I never did, because for me, this is part of my healing journey. It is an integral part of closure. Everyone deserves a second chance. And I think that's what the bottom line is for me is, I'm not holding back. There's no reason to. To have a team be okay with me not holding back after holding back for half a century, the only way that I can say what I'm saying is because I have this safe environment.
What made you decide to take action? What finally made you say, I can do this, I'm worthy of this?
When I went to Jeff Anderson's website and I saw the man that sexually abused me, I was really just about to just shut it off and go away, and then I saw he did this to other boys. And the thought in my mind came back, the same thought I had then, which was, you can do this to me. I'm strong. You don't do this to anybody else. They are innocent people.
You're speaking from an experience that I'm sure that at times you think you're the only one, and you're not, and you're coming to this place where it's like, I can help other people, and survivors are going to start coming to you because they're going to hear you or see you or understand that you're a safe place to say, I was hurt too. What do you want to say to someone who's hurting and doesn't have the opportunity to talk to anyone right now, and who does think they're all alone?
Don't let go. Just firm, making that call, no intimidation, no fear. The very first contact, this is important, the very first contact, I was believed. That's important.
I'm Mike Ruck, an attorney and advocate with Jeff Anderson and Associates. Our firm was one of the first in the country to take on the Catholic hierarchy on behalf of a survivor of clergy abuse. For more than 20 years, we've been exposing predators in California and helping courageous survivors hold Catholic institutions accountable. Our mission is simple. We want kids to be safe. You know, these cases are about more than just winning in court. They expose predators, they shine a light on the truth, and most importantly, we want people who were harmed by these trusted authority figures to have a chance to take their power back.
I didn't even realize what was happening to me. I hadn't even been sexually active. I was all of 14, but I knew it wasn't right, and I knew that it caused me a major distraction. I couldn't focus. My grades started to fall. And so what was the solution? Father Pryor thought, well, Monica, if your history grade is falling with Mr. you need to spend some after-school time alone with Mr. to get your grade back up. He didn't look after me. He fed me to Mr. I was really fed to him. And that allowed him to do what he did to me more. He just kept pushing me back at him. And I didn't have any help. And I couldn't tell my mom. My mom was going through so many things at the time I didn't want to tell her. I get to take my 50-something-year-old arms and put them around little 14-year-old Monica and tell her, you didn't do it, it's okay. And there were others, so you weren't the only one. But now there's a sense of peace. I can walk on this earth and know that I did something. If you're ready to come forward with your story, know that there's people like myself, people that will step in front of you and make sure you're okay. We have power. We have a voice. I'll give you a voice. Just come forward. Help me. Help me to help others. Don't let this happen to your kids. Don't let this happen to your grandchildren. It's not your fault, because it was never our fault. Never. And that's something that we all need to hold hands and remind ourselves of. So if you're ready to come forward, I got you. We got you. Just come forward, okay? We'll be there to support you. We got you. You have power, and we can do something. We can make changes. So please, please, come forward.
To anyone who's sitting out there thinking, gosh, it's too late, I want to say this again. It is never too late to come forward, speak out, and get your power back for what happened to you as a child. But California's AB 218 expires on December 31st of 2022. So survivors only have until then to talk to an attorney and to make sure that their case is preserved so that they can continue to seek justice and ensure that what happened to them never happens to another child.
My name is Elizabeth Del Cid. I'm an attorney and advocate at Jeff Anderson and Associates. I joined the fight against childhood sexual abuse not only to protect children, but also to seek change in the very institutions that allow the cycle of abuse to continue. I always felt that my family and I were marginalized voices. As a Mexican, as a person of color, as a woman, there just weren't a lot of people who understood my voice or my family's voice. And what I tried to do by being a journalist and a lawyer was to give back to my community and advocate for them, to let them know that by sharing their story with me, I could help them share their story to the world. I found that it's very common for institutions to take advantage of individuals, for institutions to use their power as a big authority to silence, to manipulate, and to control individuals into thinking that whatever is being done to them is okay. Survivors of childhood sexual abuse, in my opinion, are one of the most underrepresented groups out there. I mean, the fact that they were damaged and affected at such a young age when they were most vulnerable goes to show that institutions really chose to prey on them. And despite the fact that they were so young and innocent, they took advantage of that innocence. Even though I can't speak as somebody who's been sexually abused, I know what it's like to experience abuse. And it's really hard. And it's something that it takes you a long time to realize it's happening and then to decide to share it with somebody. When you call Jeff Anderson and Associates and talk to me, you can expect that I'll listen to you, I'll believe in you, and that I'll make sure that your privacy is protected completely. We have a shared goal of making sure that whatever happened to you doesn't happen to another child again.
Nuestras comunidades latinas se basan en la fe y la tradición. El respeto es la base de quienes somos. Cuando figuras de autoridad traicionan esa fe, estos abusos se convierten en secretos a voces. Los sobrevivientes de abuso sexual de niños a menudo se culpan a sí mismos y guardan silencio, pero en realidad, presentar una demanda protege a otros niños y restaura la fe. Si usted fue abusado de niño, llámenos hoy. Será confidencial.
I'm here now with Elizabeth Del Cid, and she's one of the fantastic attorneys here in the Los Angeles office of Jeff Anderson and Associates. Hi, Elizabeth, how are you?
Hi, Joel, I'm doing great, thank you.
Elizabeth, one of the hardest things for survivors to reconcile is the fact that the horrible injury happened to them at the hands of a trusted and beloved priest. So, in coming forward and making a claim, there's a lot of conflict there, and people think that, well, gosh, you know, this is still my faith and my church. What do you say to those survivors who are struggling with some of these issues?
I explain to survivors that the law gives individuals the right to proceed confidentially, so they don't have to worry about, going to mass and somebody finding out that they made a claim against the church for a priest who took advantage of them when they were children.
Predators are very cunning, and they groom kids and trick them into thinking many times that what is happening and what's going on isn't abuse.
There doesn't have to be rape in order for there to be sexual abuse. If an adult touched a child in a manner that made them feel violated, made them feel like that wasn't the right thing, they should consult a lawyer. They should let the police know about that person so that something can be done and to stop that behavior.
My name is Mike Finnegan, an attorney with Jeff Anderson and Associates. I have had the honor and privilege of working with child sex abuse survivors for the last 16 years. Many of those were just like you, blaming themselves for what happened and thinking that it was their fault. What happened to you as a child was not your fault. We can help you. You have the power to dial the phone and call us, or contact us through our website at andersonadvocates.com. When you do contact us, there will be a person on the other end of the line that knows how difficult it is to make that call and to make that contact. We will believe you. We will help you. We will help you get your power back. We will help you get your voice back.
We know that there's nothing that can repair the pain that's caused by childhood sexual abuse, and nothing can bring back a lost childhood. But by taking action, you can have a profound positive influence on yourself right now, on your future, and on your family's future. But time is running out. You only have until December 31st of 2022 to come forward and make a claim under California's Child Victims Act.
You don't put it aside. It always pops up. Anybody who's experienced this knows what I'm saying. Any little thing can trigger it, and boom, you flash back. And you flash back. You try to put it aside, you try to put it aside. You never put it aside. And that's one of the reasons I came to get some help here. I'm almost 80 now. I'm 81 now, but at the time I was almost 80. I said, I've got 24 kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and great-great-grandkids. I thought about what this would mean to those little guys when Grandpa's gone, that they would have some financial legacy that Grandpa left them. Some good would come out of the bad that I had to endure. And I justified it that way. I said, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for them. If it were me to do it all over again, I would do it again. And it wasn't easy. Remind yourself, it's not easy going through the interviews. It's not easy putting out what's happened. You can't be afraid, you can't hold back.
What else has been an effect of and a result of coming forward? Have you noticed any improvement in your life or the way you feel about yourself?
There's a lift, for sure, of the heaviness of the incidents. You know, that's free now. I'm free now. It's like when you're holding things in and you finally relate to somebody. There's a feeling of freedom, and it releases all that inner stress that you have. You don't forget all the incidents, but now somebody else knows. Somebody else is carrying the burden as well. They've taken it upon to help you, and I needed that. I needed help, and I got it.
If you were sexually abused as a child in California, it's time to take your power back. Contact Jeff Anderson and Associates to learn more. Call confidentially 1-800-IT'S-TIME.
I'm here now with Mike Reck. Mike is one of the lead attorneys here in the California office and has almost 20 years experience working one-on-one with survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Mike, tell me a little bit more about AB 218, also known as the California Child Victims Act, and what it can do for survivors of sexual abuse here in California.
So the new law really does two things. One, it fixes that time limit prospectively going forward, so that if a child is assaulted today, that child has until much later in life to be able to report and to bring their case. It also acknowledges and recognizes that there's several generations of people that these assaults happen to who never had the ability to bring a claim. So it retroactively opens a window and allows survivors of childhood assault to bring a case no matter how old they are, no matter when the assault happened. It doesn't even matter if the perpetrator is alive or dead, because the institution responsible can still be subject to these claims.
Mike, what do you say to the survivor who's struggling right now and wondering, is it too late for me? Why do I even bother?
The reality is we cannot undo what has been done. I can't take away that trauma. That exists, and no claim is ever going to take that away. But the hope is that when you realize that this entire law has been created and this process exists, there's an acknowledgement that what happened was wrong, it was not your fault, and you didn't do anything to deserve this. And I don't care if you're 40, if you're 60, or if you're 80, that is important to feel better and to heal. It doesn't really matter where the decimal point is on a check at the end of the day if you don't feel better about the process. And that's what it's about, is having that step of healing. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to know your rights and to decide. Because when you were a kid, you didn't get to have a choice. You know, you didn't get to choose that you were assaulted by this person. Now, you as an adult get to control your story and control your own healing. And if you want to bring a claim, you can do it. If you want to be confidential, you can do that. To the person who's wondering, I think the question is not really, should I do this? The question is, am I worth doing this? And the answer is yes.
Back when I was growing up, no one would have thought anything would happen if you were alone with a priest. Especially in my case, he was a Monsignor, so we were very, very close. But we had a relationship that was wholly inappropriate. I just thought it was normal. I mean, I really thought this is what people do. And it wasn't until things got a little bit more physical, that were scary physical, that I realized that this wasn't right. You know, there was something wrong here. But it was only after, you know, about a year and a half of this continual sexual relationship that I had with him. And, you know, being 10, 11, 12 years old, you don't know what's right and what's wrong. I'm angry. Had I not been in an environment where priests are given such a wide berth, I believe none of that would have happened. I just don't want to hide anymore. I just don't want to feel helpless anymore. I want to be empowered. I want to help others. I want to make the world safer, and I think I can. One of the first things that happened to me after I told my story was somebody emailed me and they said, something happened to me with this priest too. So I knew I wasn't alone. I think the most important moment for me was being believed. Like actually having somebody listen to my story and believing me.
I'm here again with Jeff Anderson. Jeff, I know we've only scratched the surface of the thousands of survivors who are out there and who need help. What do you say to that person who's still wondering, is this worth making a call? And what should they expect when they make that call?
Well, first to the survivors some of whom don't even know or appreciate it was really abuse, they blame themselves. And the survivors who feel so much shame and fear they can't even tell anybody else. And haven't. They need to know they can share that secret with us, confidentially. And we can listen and understand what trauma is and how it gets experienced. And then we can guide them into a space where they have shared that and been believed. And then from that, we can give them choices about doing something about it. And there are a lot of options within that range. Protecting their privacy and not requiring them to tell others if they don't want to. But once they've told us and we know it happened, we can do something about that and give them choices.
I want to take this final moment to say thank you. And I want to extend a special thank you to every single survivor who has come forward. There's a saying that, you know, people who accomplish things are always standing on the shoulders of giants. I am here because I stand on the shoulders of giants, men and women who bravely came forward before me. To everyone who has come forward, I say thank you. And to everyone who has yet to come forward, I say, it's never too late.
The preceding content was paid for by the law firm of Jeff Anderson and Associates.